Hello, a couple of years ago I designed this little mini-quad frame and cut it out from carbon fiber on my CNC machine. It was very nice and light and compact, and I was getting some really good flight times with it, like 6 to 6.5 minutes fairly easily. No full throttle punches or anything, just cruising around fairly casually. But nevertheless, very good flight times, and I was quite happy with it. Unfortunately, I flew it into a river, so I don't have it anymore. That's why I'm talking about it in the past tense. This 240 grams, by the way, this is minus the FPV gear. The actual weight when you have all of the stuff on there ready to go is more like about 460 grams. That's with a 4S 1300 milliamp hour battery. And the reason I was able to make this nice and light like this, it's 5-inch quad by the way, is because I actually designed the frame itself around a specific set of components like the video transmitter and the receiver and stuff, and also because I was using a RunCam split which has the HD camera and the FPV camera together, so you don't need to add an extra GoPro session or RunCam HD on top to record the HD footage. And just recently I thought I'd have another go at this because I got hold of a RunCam hybrid, which is another one of these cameras that has the HD and the FPV together, and these cameras enable you to make very light builds and nice compact stuff. And I thought I'd design another frame, or almost the same frame, but change it a little bit to fit the RunCam hybrid onto it. And unfortunately this video transmitter here that I quite liked, they don't seem to be selling those. I couldn't find one. So I tried a different flight controller. This flight controller here, by the way, has the ESCs all in the one board, but I went back to just using separate ESCs on the arms. But I did go for another funny flight controller, and the one that I got this time has the video transmitter on the actual flight controller board itself. I'm not sure if that's a good idea, because if something breaks then they're stuck together and they break together almost. But anyway, it's working out quite well so far. So my original plan was to submit my design to Armatan Productions and have them cut it out of carbon fiber for me this time, because I didn't really want to do it on my CNC machine. It can do it, but it's a very slow and arduous process. However, when you submit stuff to Armatan Productions, you're probably looking about 3 weeks, maybe even a month before you get the thing in your hands ready to use. So instead of doing that, I had an idea to just stick carbon fiber on each side of a piece of plywood, because the plywood is very quick to cut on my CNC machine, no problem. It took about 15 minutes to do this job here. And since I have so much carbon fiber cloth lying around and I'm getting the hang of using it now, I thought I'd have a try and see how strong this is going to be compared to the full carbon fiber. So as of the time of making this video, I don't really have any results or conclusions to draw from this, because I've only flown it a little bit. So this video isn't going to contain any stress tests or breakage tests or anything like that. It may break at some point, I don't know. But for now, I'll just show you what I did, and maybe it'll be interesting to watch. Okay, so that's the first layer on there. The layup itself turned out quite nice, but it's a fair bit weaker than I had anticipated. Just, well, the arms at least. Through the middle there it's fine, but the arms, definitely not quite what I'd want. So that was 2 layers of unidirectional on each arm, and I was planning to just put 1 on the top side, but I might actually put 3 on each arm for the top, since I've seen what this is turning out like. And it added about 20 grams overall. There's still 2 layers of peel ply on here though, so it'll get a little bit lighter when I take those off, but also probably a little bit weaker as well. Okay, that's both sides done now. It turned out pretty nice and also fairly light. It's just under 60 grams, these two bits here. I was hoping to make it under 90 or around 90, including the standoffs and the screws and everything. This is the aluminium piece that I was using to compress the main plate, and somehow it's not perfectly flat to this plate. All of these arms are slightly raised. You can see that one coming up when I push on the other side, and I knew that this plywood had a little bit of curvature in it, and I was hoping that pressing and curing the epoxy like that would completely flatten it out, but it did not quite do that. However, it seems like all of these arms are slightly curved upward in the same direction. If they were one going down and like down on that side and up on that side might be a bit of a nuisance, but since they're all the same way, it's probably not an issue. And as far as the strength goes, they are markedly more strength now in the arms. I'm quite surprised actually. I was getting a little worried with just the one side of the carbon on that it wasn't going to be strong enough, but when that second side went on, it was pretty good. I can put a bit of bend in it still, fairly, well, I wouldn't say that easily. I'd say it's just perceptibly weaker than the full carbon version at this point. I'm comparing it with the 3mm full carbon version that I had before. The carbon that I've added here has added about 1mm to each plate. So this was 2.5mm, now it's 3.5. This was 1/4 or 1/8 inch, so it was 3.2mm, now it's 4.5.
What the? Why isn't air mode on? Air mode's supposed to be on in the settings. It's weird. What? That's so stupid. When I drop the throttle to 0 while it's flying, the motors stop. When I drop the throttle to 0 after I landed, the motors don't stop. What the hell is the point of that? This is this is my first experience with Betaflight, any Betaflight more than version 3.2, I think was what I've been using until now, this whole time. So it looks like I have a few things to learn. Okay, I think I've figured out that issue. It was just that the minimum throttle setting was too low for these ESCs. So the default is 1070, which is fairly high. I seem to recall in the past I've had it set at 1050 or something and it's been fine. But anyway, I had to set it all the way up to 1125. And that's better. Much better. Okay, let's try some FPV maybe. Back, save and exit, save and exit. Let's try this again. Rates are fairly high. Used to be I needed to turn the rates up when I did a new install of Betaflight, but seems like everybody's much better pilots these days, so they don't have the defaults so low maybe. Anyway, this is not really the issue for this video. For this video I just wanted to look at how the frame works, and we're not going to figure that out much in one flight unless I deliberately crash, which I don't want to do. So I guess the question is, in the longer term, after some crashes, how does it do? This is just 3S battery, by the way, so don't worry about that voltage, it's okay. It's feeling fairly comfortable actually. Okay, low battery, yep. Time to land. Now I have to remember I can't just disarm here. I have to disarm at the same time as I land. Oh shit. Okay. Alright.
So that's going to do it for this video. Admittedly, there's no scientific measurement as to how it compares to the full carbon version, but like I say, I don't really want to break it on purpose just yet. I'll keep flying it over the remainder of the summer quite a bit, hopefully, and if I do break it at some point, I'm not going to make a video about that. I'll just make a post on the community page of my YouTube channel there. But so far it's performing quite well. It feels pretty sturdy. I don't think it's like super weak compared to the carbon, and it's nice and light. I was worried that it might end up heavier than the full carbon, but not really. It's probably about 5 grams heavier overall. And I'm flying here with a 3S 1000 milliamp hour battery, and I'm getting some really good flight times, 7.5 minutes. As you'll see, if you watch to the end of this video, I'll let this video play out, and you'll see that this particular flight was 7.5 minutes. From what I've seen, it seems to be capable of hovering at just on 5 amps and slow forward flight at about 6 amps, which is not much really. That's with a fully charged 3S battery, that is. It still needs quite a bit of tuning. This is all the default settings apart from just a couple of PID settings that I changed, and I'm not used to these rates really, so I'll have to set it up more to my liking. But so far, even like this, it's been fairly pleasant to fly, and it was nice to see that there was no jello in the camera as well. One of the reasons I made this quad actually was because I want to try the Betaflight Rescue, where you can put a GPS on and you can get sort of a return to home thing that at least should prevent you from having to walk miles out into the other side of the farm and look for your quad, because I'm planning to fly this quad over to the other side of the farm if I can, and I haven't wanted to do that until now because well, I could have set up a Arduino or Arducopter to do that, but I just thought that the FPV performance, the flying experience of Betaflight is a little bit better than Arducopter, because Betaflight is set up to do FPV flying and Arducopter is not. I actually flew my large hexacopter, like the S550 that weighs about 2 kilos. I set that to acro mode in Arducopter the other day and I flew it around. It wasn't too bad. Yeah, so one reason I wanted to keep this little quad really light is because I want to put a 3S 2200 milliamp hour battery on it, and I want to see how far I can get around the farm with that. And obviously if I lose radio contact, I don't want it to just crash. I want it to try and fly back to me. So anyway, thanks for watching. That's the end of this video, and maybe sometime soon you'll see me trying the Betaflight Rescue mode. Okay, bye.